Alan Pang, Stamping Imagination and Sensibility. Carmen Tsui, Housing the Nascent Middle Class. Eunice Tseng, Working Women and Architectural Work. John Wong, Making 𝗦𝗂𝗺𝗨 logo in post-World War II Hong Kong. Vivian Chen, Markets Made Modular.
Hello, I'm John Carroll, Chairperson of the Society for Hong Kong Studies. And on behalf of the Executive Board of our Society, it's my great pleasure to announce the winner of the IBP Hong Kong Studies Article Prize in the Humanities category. This is organized by the International Conference of Asia Scholars, ICAS. Before I announce the winner, I have a long list of people to thank. As you will see, a lot of time and a lot of thought went into this selection process. First, the Reading Committee for the Humanities category, Professor Leo Shin, who is Associate Professor of Asian Studies and History at the University of British Columbia, where he is also the co-convener of the Hong Kong Studies Initiative. Dr. Michael Ng, who is Associate Professor of Law at the University of Hong Kong, and Professor Angelina Chin, who is Associate Professor of History at Pomona College. I'd also like to thank ICAS, especially Martina van den Haak, who is the ICAS Secretary, and the General Secretary of all IBP editions, and Wai Chang, who is the IBP Acting Secretary. And I'd also like to thank the Secretary of the IBP Hong Kong Studies Article Prize, Edmund Chang, and the Acting Secretary, Maida Chan. So here comes the exciting part. The winner of the IBP Hong Kong Studies Article Prize in the Humanities category is Professor Carmen C.M. Tsui, who is Associate Professor at Lingnan University, Hong Kong. Professor Tsui specializes in the history of architecture and urbanism, and this prize is for her article, Housing the Nascent Middle Class, the First High-Rise Planned Community in Post-War Hong Kong, which was published in Planning Perspectives in 2022. We're both fortunate and delighted that Professor Tsui is here in Hong Kong right now. So first I'm going to congratulate her. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then I'm going to ask her to tell us a bit about her article. So perhaps you could start by telling us how you chose your article or your topic.
My article investigates how high-rise, high-density planned community become a predominant housing choice for the Hong Kong people. And I changed the development of high-rise planned community to the project 𝗦𝗂𝗺𝗨𝗀, which is developed in the late 1960s to the early 1970s by an American joint venture led by the oil company Mobil. And I found that the 𝗦𝗂𝗺𝗀𝗀 case is a very interesting and important case, not only because it is the first planned community in Hong Kong. When it was completed, it was also the biggest, the largest privately funded housing development in the world, and also the biggest American investment in East Asia. The 𝗦𝗂𝗺𝗀𝗀 project is huge. It has 99 towers, and the project is divided into 8 stages of development, housing over 85,000 people at that time. 𝗦𝗂𝗺𝗀𝗀 is the first high-rise planned community in Hong Kong. And the idea of a planned community is originated in America after the Second World War, when the American developers started to develop suburban housing for the soldier returned from the war. And in order to attract the people to move to the suburbs, they built this low-cost, prefabricated, uniformly designed single-family house in the suburb. But of course, a planned community or a single-family house is not suitable to Hong Kong because we don't have this enough land. So the American investor, the Mobil Oil, and also their American consultant, bring in this idea of developing a high-rise planned community in Hong Kong, which is the first case in Hong Kong.
Okay. And what kind of materials did you use for your research?
I mainly studied the archival material from the Public Records Office in Hong Kong. There is a lot of correspondence between the government and also the Mobil company. I also looked at a lot of the newspaper, especially when the project was completed. There is a lot of news report on the project, which reflect that the Hong Kong society are actually quite interested in this new type of development. Because before the 𝗦𝗂𝗺𝗀𝗀𝗀, most of the private housing in Hong Kong are either luxury housing for the rich people or the Chinese tenement, right, for the lower or working class. But at that time, in the 1960s, there is a new type of middle class that has been emerged in Hong Kong. They start to have a stable income, and they also demand a better type of housing. And there is a huge gap in the housing market at the time. So the development of 𝗦𝗰𝗶𝗀𝗀 is encouraged by the government, and it also attracts a lot of the attentions from the society, and it is widely reported in the newspaper.
Right.
And I also managed to interview some of the residents of 𝗦𝗰𝗶𝗀𝗀 who happened to be the first-time buyer of 𝗦𝗰𝗶. So they bought their unit, they bought their flat when 𝗦𝗰𝗶 was completed. So I managed to talk to them, and I asked them why they choose 𝗦𝗰𝗶.
And what did they say?
They say that because they are a young family, they have kids, so they want to find a place, a housing project that provide a community sense that is safe, and also they in 𝗦𝗰𝗶 we call it a planned community because they include all the amenities such as the school, the market, the shopping mall in one housing development, which is unusual in Hong Kong at the time because in Hong Kong most of the housing development are purely residential at the time. So the interviewee said that they want to have their kids to attend the school just next door. So this is one of the attractions that got them to buy 𝗦𝗰𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀.
I see. Well, thank you. I wonder if we might conclude with you just telling us very, very briefly how this topic is important for Hong Kong, both then and now.
I start this topic because I'm very interested in the history of the flat development. Now, flat development is the most common housing or tenure types in Hong Kong. But I think the topic is actually under research, under study. By flat development, it means that we have a building, we have a multi-story building, but we are able to buy only one single unit. So that means we recognize air rights and we recognize airspace as a property right. And this only started after the Second World War in Hong Kong. It has a very relatively short history. But I think this is actually a very important topic because without the flat development, or in some cases it's called condominium ownership or strata title. Without this development of the flat project, most of the Hong Kong people will not be able to become homeowners because it would be too expensive to buy the land and then build the big houses or build a building on top of it. So I think this is actually a very important step in the housing history in Hong Kong.
Right, right. And as we all know, housing matters in Hong Kong. Thank you very much, and congratulations once again.
Thank you. I'm truly honored to receive the Best Article Award. I want to thank the Reading Committee, ICUS, and the Society for Hong Kong Study for recognizing my work. Thank you.
Catherine Whitworth and 𝗂𝗂𝗧, Visual Framing. 𝗦𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗀, New Town Planning as Diplomatic Planning. 𝗦𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗀 and 𝗂𝗂𝗺, Guerrilla Capitalism and the Platform Economy. Samson Yun, The Institutional Foundation of Counter-Mobilization. Tommy Tsui, Work Faster, Harder, Cheaper?
Hello, I'm 𝗂𝗂𝗺, Chairperson of the Society for Hong Kong Studies. And on behalf of the Executive Board of our Society, it's my great pleasure to announce the winner of the IBP Hong Kong Studies Article Prize in the Social Sciences category. This is organized by the International Convention of Asia Scholars, ICAS. Before I announce the winner, I have a long list of people to thank, and as you'll see, a lot of time and a lot of thought went into the selection process. First, the Reading Committee for the Social Sciences category, Professor Agnes Khoo, who is Associate Professor of Social Science at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Professor Ian Scott, who is Adjunct Professor in the Department of Public Policy at the City University of Hong Kong, and Professor Alan Smart, who is Professor Emeritus of Anthropology and Archaeology at the University of Calgary. I'd also like to thank ICAS, especially Martina van den Hoek, who is the ICAS Secretary and the General Secretary of all IBP editions, and 𝗦𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, who is IBP Acting Secretary. And I'd also like to thank the Secretary of the IBP Hong Kong Studies Article Prize, Edmund Chang, of the Society for Hong Kong Studies, and the Acting Secretary, Maida Chan. Now for the exciting news. The winner of the IBP Hong Kong Studies Article Prize in the Social Sciences category is Mr. 𝗦𝗰𝗶𝗹, who is Graduate Assistant in Legal Governance at the University of Lausanne in Switzerland. Mr. Yip's research aims to advance our understanding of how planning and property mediate between urban transformations and democracy in East Asia. This prize is for his article titled New Town Planning as Diplomatic Planning, Scalar Politics, British-Chinese Relations in Hong Kong, which was published in the Journal of Urban History in 2022. Congratulations to Mr. Yip for producing such a fine article, and I will now let him tell us a bit about his article. And once again, I want to thank everyone who helped with the selection process.
It is my honor to receive the award. My article is part of my larger project studying the legal geography of land injustice. I began this project by asking two questions. Why is there a law in Hong Kong that requires all the land-related revenues accumulated from the inhabitants must be put into the Capital Works Reserve Fund, which can only be spent on infrastructure and land production, rather than social services and welfare? And what is the effect of this legal configuration of public finance? The fund was established in 1982. I found out that Tsui New Town was approved a few months after the establishment of the fund, and the Chinese state capital was involved in the consortium of the developers which submitted the new town proposal to the government in late 1979. And at that point, I felt that there must be some kind of relations between all these facts, and especially if one is familiar with the history of Hong Kong's transition period. 1982 was a key moment. The historical account of Hong Kong's transition period usually begins with two key moments: Governor MacLehose ice-breaking visit to Beijing in 1979, and the meeting between Deng Xiaoping and Margaret Thatcher in 1982, which marked the beginning of the Sino-British negotiations over Hong Kong's future. But what happened between these two key moments is rarely discussed. To study this period, I employed two strategies. Firstly, I built my project upon recent Hong Kong studies scholarship that offers new insights into the colonial governance. Secondly, I studied the declassified archival materials from the British National Archives and Hong Kong Government's Public Records Office. I developed a geographical explanation in terms of scalar politics to understand the interactions between the actors. The process was full of uncertainties, and each side knew very little about others. The subtle steps they took constituted a series of political calculations through which different actors at various geographical scales attempted to tease out how the two state powers would handle the question of Hong Kong's future. The Capital Works Reserve Fund was established during this period, even though its original intention and institutional design were very different from the current one due to the Joint Declaration in 1984. But the change and its effects were the subject of my another article. Diplomatic negotiations are not only high-level interactions between state powers about territorial disputes, or political agenda, or ideological conflicts, but could also have impact on and being influenced by the ongoing urban transformation within the territory. In other words, I would say I offered a political reading of the urban and an urban reading of the political. And for the local community in Hong Kong to understand this very important episode in the city's historical geography, this article was translated into Chinese language and published in 𝗵𝗶𝗹, a local newspaper. I would like to thank the reading committee for recognizing the contributions of my work and the organizer and sponsor of this prize. I also have a list of people to whom I'm very grateful, including my supervisor 𝗦𝗰𝗶𝗹 here at the University of Lausanne in Switzerland for his useful comments on my manuscript, and 𝗏𝗏 in Hong Kong for his guidance. Some scholars also provided helpful comments and suggestion feedback for me to improve this manuscript. I also want to extend my gratitude to the editorial board and peer reviewers of the Journal of Urban History who gave me the opportunity to have this manuscript published.